Scootaloo. Yeah, Apple Bloom. Can I ask you something a bit more personal? Okay, but you aren't going to confess your love to me or something like that, are you? No, nothing like that. Then I guess you can ask me. Alright, I wanted to ask how it is that you are a Pegasus and still you're not able to fly. Hey, what the hell? I meant no offense. I just have always been wondering. The show never really gave a real answer on why your character couldn't fly. And as far as I know, you as the real pony aren't able to fly either, so I wanted to ask why that is the case. Do you really want to know? Well, I'm not really dying to know it, but I think it would make my day if you told me. In that case, and seeing that Sweetie Belle is nowhere to be found, I guess I can tell you the story. But be warned, it is really, really super sad and tragic. Meh, I guess I can handle your dark and edgy backstory, if you say so. My story begins many years ago when I had just became a little filly. So about 5 years old, if I'm not misremembering. At that time, my parents were still living with me in the old house my aunts are now owning. Life was simple back then, but as I was with my family, I was happy. But it all changed when one day, my parents had to leave for their first great expedition. Deep inside the Amapone jungle, a new indigenous tribe of ponies had been discovered and my parents were chosen to study them. Honored by this opportunity, they packed up their things and left me with my aunts. But me still being a very young pony, I couldn't understand why they would have left me. Don't get me wrong. On holiday and Annie Lofty are great and I really love them, but they couldn't replace my parents. So I cried for 3 days and nights throughout, unable to absorb the loss. Until on the 4th day, my longing for my parents had become unbearable for me, so I decided to follow them on their journey. I also packed up my stuff and in the quiet of noon, when my aunts were out for shopping, I hitched away. But as I had no idea which direction my parents had gone, I wandered about for the longest time. Luckily, the other ponies ignored or even avoided me, so there was nothing stopping me. All I knew was that my parents had been searching for some kind of forest or something, so I did the same. It took me until sundown to finally hit pay dirt and find a forest. But it wasn't the kind of forest I had been looking for this wasn't the Amapone jungle, but the dreaded Everfree Forest. The Everfree Forest! But this place is brimming with wild creatures! That's right. So, as I was saying, after entering the dark forest, I started wandering for some time, always keeping my eyes and ears open. After about half an hour, I guessed I was deep enough inside the forest to start the next step of my plan, calling out for my parents. Mommy! Daddy! But no pony answered my calls. So I tried again and again, but no matter how loud I was shouting, no pony seemed to hear me. Sadly, this fact would become more literal as I had wished for. So if no pony heard you, who did? Or what? As I was keeping wondering and calling, I suddenly heard a rustle in the bushes. And something else. Something wild. Savage. Like a growl, mixed with wooden creaking and mushy slurping. I should have known better back then, but my curiosity was stronger than my prudence. So I took a look behind the bushes, and right into the faces of 3 timber wolves who had just killed a deer. Oh dear. Exactly, but that wasn't even the worst part. It gets even worse. Surely you can imagine the fear I felt being faced with those deadly creatures, as well as a mutilated corpse. My mind blanked as I suddenly turned around and started running for my life. Obviously the timber wolves started chasing me, for I was an easy-to-get midnight snack. I ran and even tried flying over the treetops. But wherever I went, the timber wolves were already there. This is where my mind is getting more and more blurry. All I can remember is a burning pain in my back, desperately kicking at the wolves and finally collapsing at the forest border. Using all of my left power to hold onto the mangled remains of my wings. You're what? Luckily my aunts found me in time and immediately brought me to the next hospital. I still can hear their desperate calls. Their pleas for me to stay awake. After an all-in-all very stirring night, I woke up in a hospital bed. My back hurt like hell, but apart from that, I was mostly fine. My aunts were there too, furious but also overjoyed they rebuked me for running away and getting into trouble. And I couldn't blame them for doing so. After some more time, a doctor visited me and explained what had happened during my blackout. He told me that he and his colleagues had spent all night fixing my wings and reattaching them onto my back. But even though the surgery had been a success, my wings would no longer be able to lift my weight enough to fly. So my dream of becoming a star flyer was destroyed, disappeared into the night like the timber wolves who had taken it. Well, I had no idea. That's horrible. It is, but also completely made up. What? Yeah, I was just jerking you around. The real reason is that I just kept skipping flight school until they gave up on me. Oh, you're such a fucking bitch cunt! Making me feel all sorry for you and shit? You should be ashamed of yourself! Ah, come on. It was just a joke. No, it was not. I really felt sorry for you. You just can't betray the trust of a friend like that. You're right. I guess I really took it too far this time. And for that, I am sorry. It's alright. I was the one who brought up the topic.